All right, good morning. Starting a new chapter today. This is the human geography of South Asia. We did physical geography last week. So this is human geography, chapter 25 of South Asia. Remember, South Asia is India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. So today we're just going to go over section one, which is just India, and then we'll finish the rest of it out throughout the rest of this week. You're going to have just a couple assignments today. One is your vocab. I'll post your vocab. Do Friday, vocab quiz on Friday. It's 20 words. Copy and paste that down. The other one is this quiz, which we'll go over after the notes. And then, yeah, that's it for today. So, hope everybody's doing good. If you need anything, remember, you can ask me questions on Google Classroom. You can email me. Remember, just turning your work. Keep on top of turning in your work. I know you're busy. My assignments won't take you very long, usually less than 30 minutes to watch the lecture and do the assignments. So get that done so that way you don't have to worry about it. Okay? So, chapter 25 notes. Let's start first here with India, and then we'll go over that assignment. So India is the largest one here, and um, it's the largest country, most populous country, and it is the reason why we're talking about it first is because usually the ones we talk about first are the ones that are the most influential to the surrounding ones, and India is the most influential culture-wise to the surrounding areas. At one time, they controlled or had parts of almost all of these nations except for Nepal, um, eh, and so they've been control of territories of Pakistan and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka at some times, and even the Maldives at some times. So let's talk about it. India is an ancient culture over 4,000 years old. It's been around that Indus River Valley right here, the Indus River, around the same time that Mesopotamia, Tigris and Euphrates, the Nile River, and some of these other rivers in China, where early civilizations, the first civilizations in the world, the Indus River Valley civilization was right here and started taking off. So, been people in this region for a long time. So, blending of a lot of different cultures and traditions. Because there's been so many different cultures and people that have been there. There's been a lot of invaders and empire came to power in this region. Some of the first ones, excuse me, would it be the like the Mauryan Empire right here around 250 BC. Then they ruled for a while. Then you had the Gupta Empire come in and take over the northern half for a while, and then I think this says, yeah, the Mughal Empire came and took control of both territories after a while. So, a lot of different people. The British even ruled this territory for a while. A lot of people wanted this region for specific regions. Okay, so let's talk about why the Europeans wanted it. Remember, right around the early 1200s, 1300s, 1400s, the spice trade was really kicking up, and India had spices. But on top of spices, the other thing they also had was cloth, cotton. They had a lot of cotton, and so Europeans were trading with India. Um, uh, from around the 12, 13, 1400s. They were trading with India, and India was getting a lot of money from its spices, from its cloth trade. And then Great Britain started to kind of get a monopoly. The only a monopoly means only you can do something. You're the only provider of something. So Great Britain began to dominate this trade and made this company the British East India Company. If you watch Pirates of the Caribbean, there's the British West India Company, which was in the Caribbean. Um, but East India Trading Company was their trading company in India. So they really started to kind of dominate this trade and kind of make a whole out of it. So uh, they realized that, hey, why don't we just go in and since we're colonizing everything else, let's just colonize this because That'll cut out the middleman. We don't have to trade with India and lose money with India. We can just rule India and get the cloth and spices that way. So by the 1800s, Great Britain controlled all of India, and it was their territory, and they controlled it. The queen was the queen of India. That was their colony, and so colonies are made to give their resources back to the motherland, and so a lot of India's resources going back to the motherland. This period was known as the Raj, and it lasted for 90 years, all the way up until 1937. Or 1947. And so you can see here that you have some white people living in India. They were the rich people that were controlling the area, um, and that was the British people. Usually, were profiting a whole lot of money off of this. Eventually, like the rest of the world, people started not wanting to be conquered and colonized and being run by another people. The United States had a revolution for it. All the Latin American countries revolutionized against them, against different European countries. So eventually, the people of India began to resist the British people occupation of their country. And they didn't like the Raj because the Raj was, um, they felt like unfair. Why should they govern us? We're a lot more people than they are. Why should they govern us? And so the people who wanted to speak out the most against this were some figureheads of this that popped up. One was Mohandas Gandhi. So Gandhi um, was kind of the inspiration for um, Martin Luther King, who used nonviolent resistance, peaceful protest. We're going to have sit-ins. We're going to have fasts. We're going to do things to get attention. And so they had these nonviolent resistance, this protest movement that does not use violence to achieve their goals. They're just going to go out. They're going to march. They're going to protest, but they're not going to have violence. And so Gandhi was kind of pioneer of that. Well, who was Gandhi? Gandhi was this guy who wanted to end this thing called the caste system. We'll talk about the caste system next class, or at the end of this lecture, actually. He was educated by the British, so he had all the kind of the reasons to support the British. He was educated by them. He was smart. He was going to get a good job being a lawyer and making a lot of money from the British people. But he realized that, man, this is unfair. There's a lot of unjust going on. There's a lot of poor people here. And so he started to make his own clothes. Why would he want to make his own clothes? Think about that for a second. Why would Gandhi make his own clothes? It goes back to this slide right here. Why would he make his own clothes? Well, he's buying clothes. He's having to buy them from the British, who are getting it from his India people. So he's like, I'm just going to make my own clothes. He was imprisoned many times because of speaking out against the Raj. And eventually he became kind of this leader who the Indian people looked towards to kind of get their ideas from him, or kind of use his ways and use his power to kind of get recognition for the Raj. And so Gandhi started using hunger fast as a resistance tool. Why would he do that? Well, if he died, what do you think the people are going to do? The people are just going to be like, oh, well, I guess we don't have to worry about the Raj anymore. Well, if he died, the leader dies, that's going to make all the followers usually be angry and sad and do something out of anger and sad. And so the British people, why would he not? Why would they be worried about him doing a hunger fast? Well, if he starves to death, then his people probably get angry, and there's going to be a lot of rebelling. And so he would use these hunger fasts and these times to get attention to himself, so that way he could get attention towards ending the Raj system. Eventually, through a lot of recognition for his ways of trying to get rid of the Raj and him being a peaceful guy and the peaceful protest. Eventually, the British people left India to be India and let them govern themselves. But also remember, this is around the same time that Great Britain was dumping a lot of their territories. They were getting rid of Israel about the same time, and other countries that they had once been in charge of. They were starting to drop those. So, I mean, it was a lot of Gandhi, but it also was a lot of the times World War II was ending. They didn't want to be seen as the big bad bully. So then India became a republic of 28 states and 7 union territories. And India today is the largest democracy in the world, have over 1.1 billion people. They're very strongly Hindu country, but they do have a lot of different other religions too. They have a lot of Muslims. They have a lot of Hinduism. They have some Christians as well, but Hindu country is mostly what they have. Um, why would this be a source of conflicts between Muslims and Hindus? Well, Pakistan is Muslim, and so is Bangladesh right here. And so there's, you would think, be some sort of conflict, and there is a little conflict here. Um, uh, and there is fighting amongst the Hindus and the Muslims just because of the difference in religions. After the Great British left, the Great British people country, Great Britain left, you have remember the British people owned all the land and territory. When they left, the land had to be redistributed out to the country, and so they had this process of land reform where they instead of 2% of the people having 90% of the land and farmable land, they had to um, redistribute. So, oh, here's the numbers: 25% of the farmland was in the hands of 5% powerful farm families, and so there's a movement to have land reform to where more land is in more hands of the poorer people. Um, and that also led to this thing called the Green Revolution, which they would teach better techniques and better crop growing technologies to help them be able to produce more crops and better techniques that will help the land instead of make the land less farmable. Usually, you can go over farming with that many people. You can go over farming and ruin the land, but they're having this green revolution. It improved the amount of food available for the poor too. With having a population so large, you need to have a lot of food, but if you overfarm, you're going to lose that farmable land. So they went through this green revolution. Modern life. Today, most marriages are arranged in Indian culture. Divorce is very rare, though, because of that. You would think divorce would be higher, but it's not. It's very rare to have divorce. Very common for extended family to live all together in one roof. Some are vegetarian. That goes back to Hinduism. Has the largest film industry in the world called Bollywood, and public affection is discouraged. They're a lot of times not a very PDA type people out in public. And India, they have major languages. The largest major language spoken in the north is Hindi. You can see up here. But you can see there's lots of different languages spoken all around, and that goes back to the bunch of different cultures that are from there. You have Bengali over here close to Bangladesh. You have, obviously you can read the list over here. Malayalam is one that a lot of the students from South India speak that are here at Sunnyvale. You have Malayalam. You have other languages too. So uh, English is spoken in business areas because that goes back to the Raj. That business areas were where the British people were in charge, and so they need to know how to speak need to know how to speak British and English, so that way they could sell those things. And so English is in common. English is common too. There's over 1,000 different languages spoken. And then last thing here is Hinduism. 80% of the population is Hindu. There's Hinduism believes in the idea of reincarnation and karma. Um, Reincarnation means you're born again after you die, and that's reflective over. You can be born again as a lot of different things. There's a better caste system where you're not in a lower class, or you can be born into a higher class if you did good things, or lower class if you did bad things. You can be born as a different animal. Good animals if you did good things, bad animals if you did bad things. Rulers, princes, poor people, anything that you. So that goes back to your karma. Consequences of your actions determine how you're reincarnated. And then you have this thing called the caste system in India. The caste system is this social classes that um, you're born into a specific caste. You have this top group, which is the Brahmin. Those are the priests, um, and and then you have here the rulers and warriors. They're in this Kshatriya group, and then you have the kind of the working people, the farmers, trades, craftsmen, merchants are there, and then underneath that you have the Sudras, which are the peasants, the servants of people of the upper caste here, and then the last is the Dalits or the Untouchables. Is the very bottom there. It'll pop up here in just a second. You can see it's the very bottom of the caste system, the Untouchables, and so the very strict system of which the British actually wanted them to be in the caste system because it helped them control the people if they could keep them in their classes. This was an old system that went out of style for a while. Um, it it had been out for a couple hundred years. And when the British got there, they realized, oh, yeah, we can use this to control. So the British people kind of brought this back to control Indian people because it put them towards the top. The rulers and the warriors, they put them up here while everybody else was down here. Okay. So you're born into a specific caste. You can only marry in your caste. You can't move up and marry the people here, can't marry people here, and people here can't marry people here. You can only move up and down the caste system if you're reincarnated. And these people aren't reincarnated, the untouchables here. Uh, these people, the untouchables, don't get reincarnated. They're done like the lowest of the lowest jobs of society, like clean the poop out of the side of the road, and so the caste system is um, it's not something that it's outlawed today. Even though it's outlawed today, you still have just like racism and um, in the United States is outlawed today. You still have people that are racist. Just like this is outlawed today, you still have people that will not. If I'm a person in a job that's in charge here, I'm not going to hire somebody down here. And so you have these people in society that are not getting hired because of their different caste, even though they might be qualified to work. And so the caste system is kind of this system of which social classes that you look down at people of lower class. All right, you can watch this video here. It kind of explains it a little bit better than I did. And then if you want to, it's at the middle of your notes. But if you have any questions or anything, let me know. This is your assignment. I've given you a couple of links here. It's talking about India coronavirus and the United States coronavirus. Go to both of these links, open these both up. You can answer these questions. Approximately means about how many. It won't be an exact number. It'll be close to this number. So pick the number that's closest to the answer. And then the last question, you're going to go to this link right here. And this link will take you to a page. You don't even have to read the whole article. It has the 4 explanations right here. Just summarize 2 of these. Read through these 4 things and summarize 2 of them in your own words for the answer right here. And that's all you got to do today. Vocab and this. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know.